Hello everyone, Kevin from KTech Services, back again for another educational digitizing video. Today's video is going to be on lock stitches, so let's get into it. I'm working with Design Shop version 12, just so you know. Okay. So I get the question a lot is like, do I have proper lock stitches, etc. I get, if you get your designs done elsewhere than a Melco design shop system kind of thing and stuff. So I'm just going to go through, um, I'm working with design shop. There's a couple of different styles and stuff like that. Or are my files getting the proper lock stitches? So with version 12 and stuff, and pretty much the other versions should, the way to check that is of course, highlight your element and then double click inside of it, or go to the stitch tree and go to the object property box. And then if you go down to tie in and tie off, as long as you have the check marks under the tie in and tie off, these are the proper lock stitches. Tie in is for the lock stitch for in the beginning of the stitch, and then tie off is at the end. Okay. That's just kind of the industry standards that they renamed it. Obviously, back in the day, they were called lock stitches, but now they're called tie in and tie off. Okay. So you can go to this menu, make sure they're checked and stuff like that. I always recommend if make sure they're both set to 3 stitches on both of them. Um, and that's proper. So there's a couple different versions, and we'll get into that in a second here. But I'm working inside Design Shop, so I'm working in condensed stuff. So I'm just going to zoom in on the K and the E, and we can kind of see those. Obviously, with the green X actually is for start. Of course, if I click on the X, that'll just do that letter when I'm in a lettering element. Okay, and obviously this is where I want it to start. This is what I want to end. So you can always tell if you go to the stitch list. Now, of course, if you want more explanation about how this works, stuff like that, check out my expanded video, and it will kind of explain about going through stitch for stitch here. But in this, it's in here, I can always tell if it has, Melco will always will list it when it's in Melco's kind of language. Okay, so the TI for tie-in, which is 3 stitches, and then that's actually located right here. And then if, of course, if I scroll with my down arrow on my keyboard, I mean, I can actually see that move. I can go through the movement. Again, check out the expanded video if you want to know more about how to go through this a little bit. But that I could tell, and I'm just going to skip through this and go to the end. And in Melco language, it's always going to indicate the tie in and tie off for you, so you can actually know, oh, hey, okay, it's actually putting it in there properly. Of course, if you turn 3D on, you can actually see it too, of course. But if I scroll down here and move back up, you see the TO coming there. There's the tie off right there. So if I put it in 3D mode, I could see. Obviously I can't see the tie-in stitch because that gets buried. But over here, I can tell that it's actually right there, and it always will move it up a little bit. Now, if you don't like that, some customers have kind of complained about that. It's like, oh, I could see that. You just move the X right here, and that'll actually kind of, in some cases, not all the time, but that actually will lower it at the same stitch and stuff like that. So, or this the last stitch. But if you go off at the on the end, make sure you always pay attention to how the cursor changes, so you can actually run the right element and stuff like that. So the X and O means I can actually drag the start and end. Obviously, the green is actually start and X is end. Okay. Um, and I can actually do that to all the letters and stuff like that. So I don't want it to end there. I want it to end over here. And then I want to move the start over here. Actually, you know what? I'm going to move the start over here. So that to me, I like that better. I'm kind of funny that way, actually, how things are started in. And that's kind of like, I'll just kind of go through that. And I always kind of like to go more in the middle and stuff like that. I don't like to start on the edge or anything like that. But that's just my pet peeve. Okay. So that's when you're working in Melco condense or Melco lettering, let's say, and stuff like that. You can actually switch it back if you'd like. So let's go over the different styles. Okay, real quick here. I'll just zoom in on the K. That'll be good. And then I'll double click and go into the property menu, go to tie in and tie off. Now, pretty much on the tie in, the beginning is you have up to 5 styles. Melco has done up 5 different styles. Okay, you can actually create your own, but that'll be another video. But you got to have at least professional to do that, I think. But I'm going to do another video on that. So so for the tie-in stitch, oh, just leave it to number one. The other ones don't really apply very well for tie-in stitch for that. The other styles are pretty much for the tie-off scenario. Okay, make sure that they're always set to 3 stitches. Now, yours might be like that, but make sure you change that to 3. It always should be 3. I found some weird issues when this is set, so just to be safe, I just always set it to 3, just so you know. Okay. Okay, so what are the other styles? Obviously, this one, 3 stitches and a little bit up into the stitches is how that one works. Let's do a style 2 and apply. Now, what this is going to do is going to lay a couple of stitches more, as you do that. If we want to see that real quick, um, let's go ahead and scroll down a little bit and get to that point. And I mean, it's hard to kind of tell in this scenario, but I'll kind of show you the best as I can here. But normally it would actually do these last couple stitches on the end, and then it's going to do 3 more. So it's going to, and you'll see that. See, that's where the tie off is. If you see right down right here, here's tie off. And so it's like, okay, okay, that's the end stitch, and then now 1, 2, 3. So it's gonna just 3 more stitches on top of the same stitches in a sense. I know I'm not a fan of that either, but so that's style 2. Okay, so style 3. Now, just so you know, you can actually have up to 5. Don't default 1 and 2 I would not use in my opinion. 3, 5, 4, or 5, but 3 is plenty. But if you really want to make her, you can actually do more, up to 5. Melco gives you 5, just so you know. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's check this out. Let's go ahead and go to stitches, and let's go scroll down. Now this one is, I believe, style 3 will actually just kind of raise up one point, and then do the 3 stitches. So if we kind of get down to to the tie off. Okay, so that's the last stitch, and then see how it goes up 1, 2, 3. So it just kind of moves up 1 point, and so you're not on top of the same stitches. Okay, that's type 3. Okay, and then let's go to type 4. Now this one, okay, so let's check this one out. Oh, okay, see, that's a problem already. So the reason why that's happening is click on the X and then move this over a little bit, because it's breaking it down into less, like half the stitches to do that, to kind of do that. But if you see that cross out, that's what you would have to do. You would have to move the X over a little bit. You would have to play with it till it kind of, you don't have that long, you don't have this stitch hanging out here. You just bring that in a little bit till it, okay, there you go. And you kind of see that. I don't need to scroll through that, but you can kind of see it's going to lay a couple broken down stitch length stitches for the lock. Okay, now that's number 4. Now number 5. Okay, so that brings me back to Foriani days. Foriani lock is actually 6 stitches. But a 5 is pretty crazy. Now that's just 3 stitches. Now again, you have up to 5, so it's going to kind of do a crisscross kind of thing. And I don't know. What I recommend is try it. Try all of them and see what one works best for you and stuff like that. Again, you don't need to do anything for style 1. Leave style 1 alone, in my opinion. Then just all the other ones for tie off you can actually change. But again, a type 1 is going to be plenty and 3 stitches. Now, granted, you can change it if you want 4 or 5, but that's what you could, again, you would play around with it. See which one you like. Okay, so that's what of what you need to kind of do for lock stitches for when you're working with Design Shop. So let me show you. I can expand it. Okay, so if I get my digitizing done from another digitizer and they just send me an EXP file or whatever. Okay, so now this one here actually has lock stitches already in it. Now, are they Melcos? No. I mean, it's more like a type 2, type 3 kind of thing. But if you don't like that, I mean, I don't know. I'll show you another way to basically what to do. But because Melco always likes to go into the stitch a little bit. They're more proper that way for them, for the Melco machines. So Nothing wrong. I mean, wrong with this or anything like that, but I just wanted to kind of show you what to look for. Now, granted, when you on the stitch list, you're not going to find the tie in and tie off kind of thing. It won't tell you because it's in expanded stitches. Of course, you could scroll through it, but obviously here in the 3D, that's what I'm always looking for. So a customer will say, "Hey, this file's kind of I'm getting loose stitches all the time." Well, I would bring this up and I would look and would say, "Does it have any lock stitches?" Well, it does. So I could confirm that. But let me show you number four. Number four is the same thing, but it doesn't have lock stitches in it. And if we zoom in on this and stuff like that, you don't see anything. You don't see anything there. And if you don't see anything here, because it doesn't. Now, in some cases, what I tell customers, if the lock stitch that they're getting isn't working proper for them, I say, okay, tell your digitizer not to put lock stitches. Send the file without lock stitches. They could do it, and this is actually how it would come. And then if you want to, it's really simple. I had a customer do this, and all he does is basically highlight that or make sure they're all highlighted when it doesn't have lock stitches. So to put the Melco lock stitches, you highlight it, right click, go to properties, the tie in and tie off menus pretty much going to always pop up, and then turn the Melco ones on. Okay, this will actually put the Melco lock stitch. Now, right here, make sure that this it's set to 3. And if you want to turn auto trim, you can. And that's all you have to do. And now watch as I hit apply. Boom, puts the Melco lock stitch in there for you. So, and there it is. Boom, boom. And then all you do is save it. Okay, and now the cool part is it actually, since we turned on the Melco lock stitch, will tell you that it'll indicate it in the stitch list that it's there. Okay, so it's actually the tie-in stitch is actually right there. So that's a cool thing. Okay. You won't be able to move it, unfortunately, and stuff like that. It doesn't work like that when it's in expanded. When you're in Melco's language, you can actually move the start and end, but on expanded, you cannot do that. So it's when you turn it on, which is cool, but then you basically can't move the start or the end in expanded data. Okay. All right. Now, there's one little more trick. If you're working with Melco's machinery or AMT16, let's say, or anything like that, or version 11, this only is in version 11 of Melco OS, and I believe Bravo OS too. So um, there's a filter under Tools and Settings, and it's right here. It's called Enable Tie In and Tie Off. What is this? Okay, it's a filter that it goes through and analyze if the file has proper tie in and tie off lock stitches. Okay. Now, what it'll do is if it see it, it'll get a lot of files from your other digitizer, and you're not sure. Enable this. It's there, and it's a good thing to have on. I mean, it'll make sure that it has something in there. Again, it's up to you if you want to turn on if you have the version 11 software that you could turn that on, and then when you load files over to the machine, it should actually, if it doesn't see the proper one, it should filter it out and put the proper um, lock stitch like Melco uses, and I think for the machines. Okay. Um, cool. I think that's about it. I hope this helps give you a little more understanding of lock stitches and stuff and what to look for. I thank you for stopping by, and please give me a thumbs up, and we'll see you on the next video. Thanks.